Hello, this is Jamie Magridge. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. Let's get started here. I'm going to be using 3 of the 5 new in colors: Polished Pink, Evening Evergreen, and Soft Succulent. I'm going to be using one of our blending brushes. Color and contour, I'm using this stamp here, and this stamp here, this stamp here, and then this sentiment. And then I'm using the matching dies, the scalloped contour dies. I'm using this one here, and this one here. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, and I'm also using a homemade stencil. Basically it's a scrap of paper that I had die cut a bunch of leaves out of. I'm going to use it as a stencil. I have a card base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. I have 2 pieces of white. One I'm going to die cut this out of, and one will be for stamping on and then cutting this out of. So I'll put those aside for now because I don't need them yet. This aside for now. This one I'm going to stamp on. And then this piece is 3 3/4 by 5, but it's a scant. It's like not even one whole line less than 3 3/4 by 5. I just cut it just the tiniest little bit smaller, and that's so it fits within. This one's a little too small, fits within those back. I'll show you when we get there, but that's why. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is stencil the background. I'm going to move this out of the way so I don't get ink all over that. And I'm just going to place this on here like this. And like I said, it's just a piece of cardstock that I had used to die cut some leaves out of. So use whatever stencil you want for your background. And I'm going to use the blending brush, and I'm going to ink a little bit. I need to bring in a scratch paper. And I'm going to tap off. And then I'm going to ink this background with this succulent color. Oh, I forget what it's called already. Soft succulent. Inking those up. Oh, I have a new member of my household. She's sneaking in here. My little, look up here. Oh, you can't see her, but she's full of the beans. Her name is Faith, but I call her Little Bit. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with a little bit of this Evening Evergreen. And I'm going to use the same brush. I'm just going to add just a little bit of this darkerness. That's a little too much, but down here towards the bottom, like some of these. Okay, then I'm going to take this off. And I'm going to go ahead and die cut this out of this one, and this out of this one. And I will be right back. Okay, got that cut out. Now we're going to take the evening evergreen and I'm going to ink the edges. Like that. Try not to go in too far. I don't want to go much past that stitch line that's in there. I don't know if you can see it. See the stitch line? A very curious little kitten sitting on the corner of my table. I can't keep her down. She's like so curious. One more side. Nope. Come on, go on. You can't help me, honey. I don't really want little inky footprints all over my house. I don't really want little inky footprints. Okay, then I'm just going to wipe this off. And we can carry on. Bring this back in. Alright, now I'm going to open this ink back up and I'm going to come in with this stamp here. I'm going to stamp that over here, but I think I want to stamp my sentiment first so that I know I have room. I'm going to stamp this sentiment down here in this corner. And I'm using that same evening evergreen color. I love that font on the stamps, on the sentiments. Pick this up. A little bit of ribbon on there. Okay. I'm going to stamp this here. Perfect. Excuse me. I will be right back. Sorry, I had to move her. I was afraid she was going to knock my camera over. Okay, now we're going to take this stamp and the polished pink. And we're going to stamp the flowers. And it's not meant to fill it in 100%. Perfect. Okay, then we're going to take these little spottage that's in there. And I'm going to stamp it off because I don't want it quite that bright. And I'm going to stamp some spottage. A little bit up here. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of this. Oops, those are little ones. I want the regular size. Come on. Two more. Okay, we'll take those backs off, poke the fingers in. Right now her favorite toy is a wadded up piece of paper. So she's batting around a little paper ball around the house. Just had to distract her a little bit. It's a good use for my scrap papers, right? Okay, Okay, then I'm going to mount this on the centered on front of this. Okay, now I'm going to bring in this piece, and I want to tuck it in these corners. If you can't get it tucked in, that's alright, just glue it to the back. And what I did here, I just bent it over, tucked it in like that. Okay. I think it should bend just a hair smaller still, but I'm going to go with it. I'm going to bring in some wet glue, and I'm not going to unstick it. I'm just going to add a little bit of wet glue on the back of this so that it stays put. And the reason I didn't put it on before is it makes it very hard to get it centered and lined up. A little bit of glue sticking out there. There we go. Now we're going to bring in our card base. Put the glue all over the back. Center that on the front of our card. Now the card itself would be pretty in that soft succulent color maybe, but I liked it white on white. And then I have a little bow that I tied using the crinkled seam binding. I'm going to bring in a glue dot. I'm going to roll it into a snake. Stick that down here at the bottom. And then I'm going to stick my bow on it. I don't want it to hide my sentiment, so let's turn it a little bit. There we go, there's a card we just made together. Here's the one I did previous. Well, thank you so much for joining me today at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.